Okay, shows you're good.
Okay, guys, we're back in live session to discuss the personnel contract for Chief Brandon Kilpatrick. Each one of us has a copy of the drafted contract that our city attorney Jim McElroy put together for us. Has anybody had time to go through the whole thing? Have you got the questions, concerns, or whatever? We're going to leave this open for open discussion. Oh yeah, oh yeah. Well, that's what I did. Discussion or take action of Chief Brandon Kilpatrick. Jim, do we need to take care of that at the city administrator position, executive session first? Let me do that real quick. Since it's kind of throwing us a curve by the way we want to do this tonight for Brandon's request. I think the next line would be discussion and or take action on application of city administrator position. We have agreed. We've got 4 applications. We've talked rather extensively about some of them, the pros and cons. We have decided as a council that we want to go ahead and Zoom interview the 4 applicants, and we're going to do that Saturday morning at 10 a.m. Saturday, February 27th at 10 a.m. is when we will be begin conducting Zoom interviews for our city administration. Chair would entertain a motion.
I make a motion that we schedule the meetings for interviews on Saturday. What was that date again?
February
27th.
Sir?
February 27th.
February 27th, starting at 10 a.m. and we will conduct them on an hourly basis until finished with all 4 of them.
I'll second that motion.
All in favor?
Kevin Featherston.
Leon, 9.
Robin, 9.
Chris Burkett.
Unanimous. Okay. Okay, now let's get down to, let's get back to Brandon's contract here. I'm just gonna open it up to everybody.
I make a motion that we deny the contract.
Oh, you're making a motion?
Yeah.
May I address the council, please?
Sure.
First of all, before we have a motion of any sort like that, I don't understand why we would have that motion considering you have a contract already in place. Clearly with a date that began 1st of October 2020, at which time the city ratified the contract through a vote in August, approving it as to the form of the original 2012 contract with a few minor changes which are noted in the minutes from that city council session. And since that time, the city has been paying Chief Kilpatrick at the new payment rate as well, therefore, once again, approving the contract. The contract is in place as it is, regardless. What we are here today to ask about is the one change within the 2 contracts that seems to have been unilaterally changed by the city, being the amount of severance to be paid if for some reason the chief will separate for anything other than good cause. Sorry, I have a hard time reading through this mess.
Yeah, I know.
Kind of hyperventilate you. But that being said, the condition of the contract that we need to discuss is the amount of severance that in the new contract somehow suddenly showed up as being 3 months, whereas the 2012 contract had an entire 12-month period of severance for termination of some sort other than for good cause.
Okay, and I understand your position on that. But I think the key thing in this whole thing is that the contract you're referring to, there was a contract approved, but there was a contract, but not the contract. And we we all sit down with the old contract, or the proposed contract, let me put it like that. The council sit in executive session to discuss the proposed contract. Everyone had some issues with that proposed contract, and we submitted and allowed our city attorney to make an adjustments based on the city council's changes that they wanted to do. And part of it was the severance. The council felt like 3 months was enough severance pay to find another job, and that's what was passed. I don't know that it's in here or not, but according to the Fair Labor Standards Act, a chief of police is a exempt employee, meaning the chief of police would not be eligible for overtime or comp time.
Understand, and that's
And
why,
we have eliminated those, that the comp time we've eliminated from the city, period. So I understand that, but
And Mayor, let me also say that the characterization, I think I just heard that somehow when the council approved entering into a contract in August, one of the problems was there was not a contract at that point. And in fact, Chief Kilpatrick's legal counsel at the time subsequently presented the city with a contract that did have a 12-month severance clause, had a much longer severance clause in it. So, you know, the fact that we've been paying him at the rate, I think is still not cleared up by the fact that the contract that Mr. Calkins presented on behalf of Chief Kilpatrick had a vastly different severance clause in it than the one that was in the 2012 contract or the one that's in the contract form that you got in front of you today.
no, I was not aware of that contract presented by legal counsel, because my understanding from looking at the minutes of the August city council meeting was that all members, in fact, it just flat out states, all members voting to approve the new contract for Chief Kilpatrick, motion passed. Doesn't say a new contract, which we're splitting semantics there, sir.
There was no new contract at the meeting, and Chuck Hawkins was going to get the contract to us after that, and he did, and it had a bunch of new terms in it that had never been in the contract before.
hey,
And,
Jimmy,
and I took that and backed out some of those things, and the contract that they have in front of them is the revisions that I was instructed to make. But the contract that Mr. Calkins presented on behalf of Brandon after that August meeting was substantially different than the 2012 contract that you're referencing.
I understand that. Now, I have not seen that contract, but simply going from the minutes that were taken from the August city council meeting, it spelled out the two conditions that were to be altered from the 2012 contract, and then the city council voted to approve it. There's an approved contract because you've been paying them at the rate of the higher pay since October.
We've been paying with higher pay, but the terms that we're talking about were not approved from the 2012 contract. And in fact, the terms that were presented by Mr. Calkins in the contract that he expected the city to enter into were vastly different. So I don't think there was ever a meeting of minds by any means on that issue.
When was the contract that you keep referring to that was presented by Chief Kilpatrick's legal counsel given to the council?
September, October, September, I think. It was after the August meeting.
yeah, between the August meeting and the October executive session.
Yeah.
So that makes no sense contract law wise, that y'all had already voted on a contract with a couple of.
Understand we had not. There was not a written contract on the table when they voted to enter into a new agreement with the chief. And so my direction at that meeting was to go forth and get a contract. And Chuck said, I've got one on draft, I'll get it to you. And he brought it to me, and it had those additional terms in it that were unpalatable to me, and I thought would be unpalatable to council, and they were. So there was no meeting of the mind on those contract terms.
Well, that's not what the minutes reflect from the August city council.
I'm just telling you that's the fact.
We're in open
And
government.
I think chief's conduct after that is consistent with that because his counsel, who continued to represent him, presented contracts with different terms.
Hey, Jim,
Yeah,
I'm gonna call you and put you on speaker because it's really not coming in good. Is that okay?
that's fine.
All right, I'm gonna give you a call. Can you mute him?
Yeah, we're gonna get the feedback.
Hey, Chris.
Is he gonna be able to hear us
Yeah,
though?
he'll be able to
Okay.
hear and everything.
Just making sure. Okay, muting. I'm gonna mute this.
Okay. Can you hear me?
Everybody hear me now?
Yeah. I can hear you. Something happened on my computer. Uh-oh. Where'd the Zoom meeting go? I'm here, but the Zoom meeting went away on my computer. Well, let me see if I can find it here. Oh, there it is. Okay, I'm back. I'm back. Okay. Yeah. Can I? Oh, yeah, that's me. Okay, I'm sorry. Hang on, I'll do that.
Okay.
And now
See you
we're gonna
now.
have to get rid of this. That's what I'm trying to tell you.
Right.
You can't have two mics in the same room.
All right, Jim, we're gonna have to
I've done
disconnect
extensive
and you're gonna have to turn your mic back on. It's not working.
meetings like this, like extensive.
Now I'm back.
Okay. And you can hear us, right?
I can hear you fine.
Perfect.
If I had a microphone, I'd hook it up, but I don't have anything in here with a
Has
microphone.
the city's position that y'all been operating under the 2012 contract as a carryover?
No, we've just.
No.
Operating, without a contract.
He's been running without a contract and without a problem.
And is it the city's position that you want to go forwards with the 2000?
But the difference between 2012 and now is that Jim, was it a year or two ago that the contract came up and there was a contract awarded? There was some discrepancy. It may have been the 20, I don't think it was a 2012. There was something, a discrepancy that Brandon felt like he was shorted 18 months, I think, 12 or 18 months.
And we gave
And
it,
the council at that time, we were also dealing with the city administrator contract. The council went into executive session and they awarded Brandon at the same pay rate, 18-month contract. And that was it. There was no special provisions. There was no increase in pay or anything
When
like
was this 18-month contract?
Sir,
When was the 18-month contract?
one of y'all is gonna have to remember, because I knew about it and I was familiar with it, but I don't.
I was there.
So it had to have been,
Was it 2 years ago?
It was 2 or 3 years ago. It was quite a while back.
It ended in August, didn't it, Brandon?
Yes, sir.
This past August 2020.
So at the time, he said he was shorted the 18 months. You or Susan one agreed that he was shorted that, so we went ahead and gave him the 18 months.
So he's gone from August to now without any kind of
Yeah,
contract.
the request before that 18-month extension or contract, whatever you want to call it, that's what was given at that point, just to satisfy that. There was a 5-year contract requested back then, but the council only approved the 18 months. But there was a contract that was proposed and presented.
Which the 18 months would have taken us to the August 11th council meeting,
Exactly, yes, sir.
when the vote was made to do the next contract.
That's right. And there wasn't a contract prepared at the time.
Yeah, there wasn't no contract prepared, so it's kind of difficult to approve a contract when the contract don't exist.
Now, is this contract that reads that it was effective October 1st of 2020, the one that was prepared by y'all's attorney?
No, oh, well, no, there was by his legal counsel, there was a proposed contract.
I don't have.
No, that one I don't know anything about. I'm sorry. That one, I've heard about it now. Chief Patrick's told me, but the contract I'm holding is.
There was a 5-year contract presented to the council, after that August meeting.
Yeah.
And then that turned into it ended up turning into the 18-month contract. So there was a contract, a 5-year contract, submitted to the council and requested, that we enter into a contract with Chief Kilpatrick. But because of this 18-month thing that happened on the contract before, the council decided that they weren't gonna issue a 5-year contract. They were gonna leave everything the same, the salary and everything, and they were gonna award an 18-month contract, which expired in August of 2020.
Which takes us to the October 2020 contract.
And at that time, there was a contract provided by Chief's legal counsel to the
That was actually, at that time, it was the interim attorney.
Yeah, okay, good point, yes.
Chuck
And
Down.
it was interim.
City attorney.
No, at that time, he wasn't the interim attorney.
Jim,
He became the interim attorney after that time.
Right.
He was chief for Kilpatrick's counsel at that point.
Exactly.
Then he was hired in November as the interim city city attorney, and then he resigned in December.
Correct, yes, sir, thank you.
Sir, Counselor, the
Uh-huh.
contract that I have from the October 1st of 2020, that's one that you drafted, correct?
I took the contract that Chuck Calkins presented and basically redacted it to where I thought the council wanted it, and that's the contract. I presume that's what you have in your hand.
Yes, it is. It's.
Okay, yes. But now that basic contract started in Chief Kilpatrick's counsel's computer. And I redacted it.
And now, is this what we're operating under, but for employment at this time, considering it says its effective date is October 1st of 2020?
It has not been signed. I think he's operating without a contract, and he's.
But
City
signed is different.
has not treated Brandon unfairly.
No.
We're continuing, he's continuing to be employed. I mean, he operated for a long period of time without any agreement at all, and I don't think there were any consequence to it, so.
Yeah, that's basically what he's saying from October 2020 till present.
I
He
understand.
operated, there was no contract.
And we're not saying he's been treated unfairly. We're not
Yeah,
trying to
yeah.
be adversarial here. We're just
Right.
trying to make sure that, because in this situation, the contract does benefit the city as well as the office. As y'all grow and people want to pick up a new chief of police, and he has a very good reputation in the community, as y'all said just from the beginning, that he did great last week. I know that y'all have operated under a contract continuously for years, and y'all understand the benefits of it. Our question was just the severance issue is what we were
Yeah.
trying to reach.
Can you elaborate on what the city, been? I'm just for my own personal use, what does a contract benefit the city? I know it benefits the employee and I agree with it. I agree with what, that concept, but what I'm wondering is, I don't understand. I've heard this term a million times, but I don't understand how a contract benefits the city.
Well, in this situation, it's loyalty and surety for one thing, but you have a chief of police who's been here for 12 years, going on 13 years. You don't get that in most small towns. It's an investment in the community. It's knowing that you're going to keep the people here who have done right by you in the past and who will continue to do good by you in the future. It's knowing that you have your chief locked in at this pay rate and that you're not going to lose him off to somewhere else because he knows that he's got a contract here and he wants to be here. We're serving the people in this community.
And I understand what you're saying, but that's still not a true, it's not as beneficial for the city as it is for the employee.
Obviously,
I mean, that's obvious, right?
in some degree, sir, yes.
Can he not quit anytime he wants to?
He could resign.
He can resign, but now I will say, council, I will say that having him under a contract to the benefit that's being described is real, because it probably means the chief is less likely to be looking because he feels like he's got security where he's at. So to that extent, that is the way we benefit from that contract.
Okay.
He's got the experience, and he's less likely to be looking and searching or interested when people approach him.
Well,
And
not
I've got several cities that have small cities with chiefs, and it's not easy to find good ones.
No. And they float around, and you seem to get somebody else's discarded baggage quite often. That's why I would encourage the contract. That is the biggest benefit you'll find, is the loyalty and the fact that it's not even a matter of not looking, it's a matter of just not doing it, staying loyal.
Yeah, that was just questioning that, because that term keeps coming up, benefit the city, and I was just from my own personal sake, wanting to understand or hear what benefit to the city that it is. And I completely understand loyalty, dedication and all that, but that's just, small beans compared to having a severance on the contract. That's a benefit to the employee rather than the city. And I'm just trying to fully understand what the real dollar, whether it's dollar and cents or whatever, what the actual real benefit is.
Well, so the severance portion of it actually protects the chief as well as the city from changes in the city council, which are whimsical that sometimes may affect the administration.
Sure, and actually this particular chief has been, he has experienced this actually 4 years ago or something like that. So I understand that.
And that's why you've operated under a contract. Y'all have a good chief here. He's been here a lot of years and wants to be here for the city. It would be a benefit to all involved to operate under a contract. My understanding of the wording from the city council meeting is that y'all have approved the contract, not a contract. You approved a contract which is in y'all's possession, and it's my understanding, I believe it's still been ratified, but if y'all wish to ratify it tonight, it's before you. Now, we would ask to change the severance package. I understand that 1 year may be an expensive amount for a small city, and that sounds like a lot, but 3 months is very little when you try to change your whole life after years and find a new place to live, find new places to be. And chiefs rarely change in the middle of the year. They usually change around October and the end of the fiscal year for cities.
And remind me again what you do as legal counsel for what?
I'm counsel for CLEAT, Combined Law Enforcement Association.
Okay, do you have any cities or how many cities you represent?
Me, as far as where I travel,
Real quick, his name wasn't announced either, so Annette doesn't have that.
my name is Grant. Good one. I'll give you a call. I'm out of Palestine.
So, I was wondering, how many municipalities do you represent?
Well, I personally have an area that I cover, but I started off in Austin, Cleat, and Cleat represents 25,000 members of law enforcement throughout the state.
Okay.
We're the largest gathering association.
In your experience, how many cities how many chief of police have you represented in a contractual basis?
I have on several larger cities.
Several, as in three, or several as in?
San Marcos, Austin, I've been involved in negotiations in San Antonio and Hayes County. I've done contract negotiations for years, sir, for labor, but we're not talking about.
Well, I just want to know your background a little bit. but-
I've been an attorney 27 years, I've been with Lee about 7 years. Been in and out of state government, TDCJ, not as an inmate.
Yeah, thank you for clearing that up.
No, commission before that, general counsel's office. Been involved in government for quite some time, sir.
I was just curious.
Yes, sir. And I'm not here to be adversarial.
No, I
I'm here to
understand.
support the chief and hope that we can all come to a meeting of the minds. Because the contract is a good thing for the city to be able to hold on to somebody who's serving so well.
I understand.
So I just want to clarify, Jim, as our city attorney, he is not currently under a contract.
I don't, no, I believe he's operating without a contract right now.
That's where I understand.
I disagree with that, but that's what courts are for. And we don't want to read it now.
You know, the council that did it last time, we've got almost completely.
Three of them are gone.
You got three of them. We only got 6 people on the council.
There's,
3 of them are gone.
there's only 2 here that were there when that was done.
You see what's important about.
Let me,
Not a contract.
Leon, Councilman Myers, let me qualify that, the answer I just gave you. The minutes from the August meeting, I don't have them in front of me, but the way I recall them reading was council approved entering into a new, I can't remember if it's 3-year or 5-year contract with the chief. At the time, there were no terms in front of us. Chuck was gonna get with me, bring me the terms. He said he had them on his computer. But basically, the council did commit to enter into a contract with the chief for, I can't remember, if it was a 3-year or 5-year term. I think it was a 5-year term.
Yes, sir.
I believe it was a 5-year term.
It is.
And as far as the details of that contract, we didn't spell those out. They were not spelled out by the council that night. And the salaries didn't change. We continued to keep Brandon, pay him the same we had been paying him as if nothing had changed. But the thing that did change was Chuck was going to bring me the contract that he wanted to document that agreement with. He did. I looked at it and I said, I don't think the council agreed to this. And I marked it up closer to what I think council had agreed to. And that's what you have in front of you.
I think one of the larger items that was in that proposed contract was arbitration. That was one of the big things that was redacted.
Well, there was a provision in it for a change of council. In other words, if one council got voted out and a whole new council got voted in, and we took all that out because that was new and had not appeared in any other contract and made no sense. If you already had a termination for cause and then termination at the will of the council protected by a severance provision, then that's what that protects against. You have a change in council where you have a whole new council come in and suddenly they have a different attitude toward the chief, and that's what the chief's insecurity is. If you're already protecting that with a termination clause and with a severance provision, then you don't need to protect again against that same thing. We took all that language out. That was all added. I'd never seen that before. We took all that out. I don't recall that there may have been an arbitration provision. We always take those out.
Yeah, there was an arbitration provision as well as a $10,000 or $15,000 Jim, and see if you remember this.
Well, it was a, as I recall, it was a 5-year declining. In other words, you had to pay out the balance of the contract. So on day one, it was 5 years of severance clause. And at the beginning of the last year, it was a 1 year declining. I think maybe it stated 1 year at that point, but you were looking at a $250,000 severance clause at the start of that contract, the way it was presented.
Jim, there was also in that contract, there was something in there about us paying, it was like $2,000-3,000 on a
Yes,
quarterly basis. I forget even what that was about.
I forget what it was about. I took all that out. It was all new, had never been in a contract before. I mean, it was a wish list contract.
Yeah, we're working at a disadvantage here because Chief Kilpatrick says as well that he never saw that contract that his counsel sent to him. I haven't seen
Well,
it. either.
It came from his
Yeah,
attorney.
I
We didn't send it to him.
understand that attorneys don't always do great for other clients. so-
Well, I only think that that's the city's fault.
No, I'm not saying it's your fault.
Okay,
Okay.
okay,
But
well,
what I am saying is the 2012 contract did have that strange provision in it about the council for some reason. And I agree, that shouldn't be in there.
Yeah.
That's fine.
That change in power provision.
Yes.
Well-
And then you did have a severance in there, but the 2012 only had a 1 year severance, not 5 years by any means.
It was he had changed all that. That was a declining severance. And actually, I'll be honest with you, I think Chuck drafted both of those contracts. The one you've got in front of you is the only one I've ever touched.
Gotcha. And generally, the one we have in front of us is a great contract. The only thing we were asking is to split the difference on the severance. We were going to come to you and ask to make it 6 months instead of 3 months. And then from the year, we were willing to say that and hopefully come to a meeting of the minds, I guess, here tonight. My understanding is that this has been entered into and is effective as of October 20th by the meetings of the council in August. Now, that being said, I understand y'all may want to revisit this term of it, but we would ask for a 6 month severance just to have the benefit of that for the chief to know that he's stable in his position.
Jim, have you got the contract that you wrote up, the one we're looking at now?
I don't have it in front of me now.
Okay.
I'm doing this from home, so I don't have it. It's at the office.
It's really pretty simple and it's a very straightforward contract, sir. I mean, the provision,
I remember the contract. I know pretty much what's in it, but
yeah, there's nothing unusual.
I recall the last time that this was talked about was, the exempt status. He has not been exempt, and according to the Fair Labor Standards Act, it is an exempted position.
Yes, sir. Chief of police is an exempted position. Head
It
administrator.
hadn't been that way though.
You weren't paying hourly, you had a salary set,
Had
right?
a salary, but there was also comp time and all that. I mean, overtime, comp time.
I'm not aware of overtime for a chief, no, but.
Our city secretary is.
I never got overtime.
Comp
Overtime, your
Comp time's
your
overtime.
time was added at overtime.
At overtime rate?
Yes,
Yeah,
all comp time is, that's how it's figured, time and a half.
Well, I never seen it reflected on the paycheck.
well,
Okay,
it
well, it
doesn't.
wasn't.
No,
because
you get an hour and a half,
overtime.
hour and a half of comp probably, hour and a half of comp for
For
every
every
hour
hour.
of overtime.
Yeah, it would never reflect on the
Well,
paycheck.
there's the benefit of the contract, sir.
Well, not now, not that it's been publicly stated that the position is an exempt employee. We've cut out as a city, we have cut out comp time altogether. So there is no more comp time.
How are you paying overtime?
We pay overtime,
Hey,
but not to an exempt employee. We've only got one at the moment. We only have one exempt employee.
Understood.
At the time, we had two. And the reason that we did away with the comp time is because we had an employee that had 300 or 400 hours of comp time. That's a lot of money.
Y'all don't have it capped by city policy.
We stopped the comp time. We don't need to cap it. We just-
No, well, in the past, yes, city policy, which that's a whole nother thing.
Yeah.
It was capped, but that cap was not being utilized and there was
Right.
fruition dates that it had to be used and all that, but that's a whole different bundle. of wax.
Yeah, right, I agree.
Let's make sure we stay on Brandon's thing here.
Yes, well, I understand that. Well, sir, our position would be that the contract has been in place since October and we were just asking for the severance position.
Okay, the chairman entertain, discussion. Anything, is there any other questions, concerns, ideas, anything that you got, to put forward to that, or go around the room, around the chute? Kevin?
I mean, I think given the discussion, given all the information tonight, you know, I think we all kind of went into this a little bit different than what we expected. So, I mean, I don't know that we could make a decision on it tonight. I think we're gonna have to, in my opinion, either, I guess, table this and come back, and after, we're probably gonna have to table this and have some sort of discussion. Jim, I'm not sure if it would be a table or how would we do that, but I think this is gonna take some discussion by council.
What discussion are you speaking of?
Well, I understand if we're gonna talk about this, if you want to talk about it in executive session, which it'd be wonderful to do. Brandon has said he doesn't want to do it, and it's his option not to do it, not to give you that time. So we can table it tonight and come back at another meeting and do the same thing. I don't have a problem with that at all. And you may just want to stew on it a little bit.
I don't understand the benefit to table it.
The benefit is to make sure 100%, are we currently under contract or not? That's what we need to find without a shadow of a doubt.
I don't believe you are at this point, but if you want to table it and I'll look at it closer, we can. But my current answer is no, we're not. But we are under some obligation created by the council to extend a 5-year contract. And you know, there's a reason why when I'm sitting in meetings, I encourage you not to agree to contracts if you don't have them in front of you in writing. And this is one of those reasons, you know. And I realized that the council that's sitting here didn't do that. It was a different council.
Well, then are we in a position to if the chair entertains a motion?
To
Huh?
a motion to what?
We got, well, whether it's to table it or deny it, accept it, what, you know, there's only 3 options here. And that's to table it for future discussion, approve it, or deny it.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, those are all options available to the council.
I already made a motion to deny it.
Well, based upon the language of the minutes from August, I don't believe that's an option. I believe you have 2 options here. Because the city council is committed to a new contract. In fact, it says the new contract, implying the contract was in existence at that time.
Which it wasn't. Which is the problem.
Well, I understand, but then now the council has your contract that was drafted by the city attorney in front of them, and they've already made a motion to approve the new contract.
No,
So
sir.
denial of the motion is, denial of a contract is not an option.
The council with the contract you got in front of you, which is the latest, most recent one, the council has not approved that. That's why we're here today.
But in the minutes of August, you say to approve the new contract. This is the new contract. Presented by your council. This is the contract that you all approved in August.
No, it's
Take
not.
effect in October.
It did not exist until, that contract didn't exist until December. So it's not possible.
The terms of this contract may have not been committed to paper, but the council approved it.
The council approved entering into a contract.
No.
And that's, I don't know what the minutes say. I just remember I was at the meeting and that's what the council voted on.
Well, the minutes say-
Entering into a 5-year contract with the chief. And they left it up to us to put it together post event.
I think the word "the" or "a" is insignificant in this point, but that's what you're hinging on, is what I'm hearing is
Well,
"the."
but that's how we started
Jim.
this whole discussion.
Jim, what I'm gonna ask you is if we were to table this tonight,
Uh-huh.
would we be able to, the council ourselves, enter into a special session meeting to discuss this with you in special session and to try to get our minds all wrapped around this and to make sure we proceed forward in the correct direction for the city?
We can't.
Only by executive session, and only in that case if Brandon didn't object to it.
Okay.
So we could just keep tabling this forever.
Well, I mean, I'm just saying, I feel like given you have counsel that wasn't here.
The whole council, I don't think any of the council was there. Was Leon, were you
Chris
there?
and myself were, and what I'm saying is, I feel like since you have counsel that wasn't here, it's only just that possibly what we do is an executive session at some point for us to speak as a council and yourself. And we get our minds together rather than sitting here and bouncing bubble gum off the wall all night. We come back to a meeting and we make a decision on what we're gonna do with this. If we're gonna approve it with the 6 months or say we want to stand on the 3 months or whatever it may be.
I very much would like to do that, but
We're kind of stuck in the mud right now.
but
Figure out a way to get us out.
but Brandon would have to authorize that.
Is we can't go into we can't go into executive session.
You're right. You're right.
But
We can't.
Brandon retains the rights. to
Okay,
do that.
you're right. We can't go into executive session unless he allows us to do that. If he doesn't allow us to do that, then we're right here in the same position we are right now, talking about almost nothing is what I'm saying.
I think that's a complete waste of the council's time.
Well,
Because we're here now, and for us to table it for another time, we're just spinning our wheel and do it. All we're gonna do is reinvent the same wheel that we're trying to roll down the road now. I think it would be a waste of time. That's my personal opinion.
Well, is the council prepared to adopt the contract of October 2020?
I don't know. If we're at a point, the chair will entertain a motion. But it seems like the chair will entertain a motion right now, yes.
Already I put a motion on there to deny the contract.
Well, you're gonna have. Yes, you did.
there's hasn't been a second. The motion has not been seconded, so it could die for lack of a second.
Yeah, so, all right, so Leon has made a motion to deny the contract. Is there any other, motions on that?
I second the motion to deny the contract as written.
Okay, we've got Leon and, Chris denying, the motion to renew the contract or accept the contract as it is. Is there any other, those we got two?
Your second was to deny it as it's written.
Yes.
Yeah, so,
But that's not a second to the original motion.
Well,
all those in favor?
Hold on.
I make a motion to deny the contract as it's written.
And Chris, do you second that motion?
I second that motion.
Mayor, you have a motion and a second. Is there any other discussion on that motion?
Yes, Robin, Kevin.
I don't have any discussion on it.
No discussion, Kevin, Robin,
No comment.
no comment.
So now it's all in favor or?
Well, no, it's not all in favor. We've got a tie vote.
Anybody?
No, you have a call for a vote.
Huh?
Call for a vote.
Yeah, call for a vote. I'm sorry. I'm still, my throat and everything. I'm just been sick as hell, so. Go for a vote.
I'm gonna abstain from voting on that.
Abstain. Kevin abstain. Leon. Voted. Robin.
I want to abstain, but I'm going to agree to deny.
Okay. So the vote is 3-1 to deny.
3-0. And one abstention.
3-0, you abstain.
3-0 and one abstention.
You're right.
So may I ask a question?
Brandon's attorney, what was your name again?
My name is Grant Goodwin. I'll get your number and stay in touch because that was going to.
Yeah, I want to visit with you.
I'm sorry?
I said I want to visit with you. Call you later in the week or so.
Okay, I understand. My question of order is then based upon our agreement that the council has committed to a contract. Is it now that you and I are to negotiate a contract for the chief?
Well, we're gonna talk about it, and I'm sure, but that's the road I'm gonna go down.
I'm sorry, could you say that again?
I said, I'm not sure, but that's the road I'm gonna go down. You understand what I'm saying?
Not exactly, sir.
What's your phone number?
Area code 512
Uh-huh.
42.
Yeah,
He's live.
I'll get your number and call you.
Yeah, you're live.
Yeah.
Oh, we're live. Oh, that's right. We're not in executive session. Okay.
Brand, I'll get it to you after the meeting.
Okay.
Well, that could have been a nightmare. couldn't
You was fixing to have to change your phone.
it? Yeah.
That would have been so.
Can I add something to this?
Yes, ma'am.
Because I just feel compelled to say this.
Yes, ma'am.
This has nothing to do with Kilpatrick, Chief Kilpatrick personally. It has nothing to do with his job performance or the duties that he has performed for this city. It has everything to do for me with the length of the contract. That is where I'm riding the fence on this. That's my problem right there. So that's why I'm telling you, I wanted to abstain, but I wanted to deny because I want us to readdress this.
Right, I understand that, but then of course we go back to the minutes that y'all already said you approve a 5-year contract.
No,
So it's just,
Brandon,
gonna-
you're not busy.
okay, I understand, and thank you for
And
saying
it's
that.
nothing personal.
Thank you,
Brandon.
Robin. I appreciate
Well, I think we all agree,
I think he knows that from all
Oh,
of us.
yeah, I know that. I know.
and that's what makes this so awkward.
And he knows that I don't agree with the contract, especially for a city this small, we shouldn't have any contract.
Mhm.
And when the former administrator and him came up for both of them wanting a 5-year contract, we denied hers, and we only gave him the 18 months that they told us that he got cheated out of. So we went ahead and did that, but we didn't give him his 5-year contract then either.
That it? You looking for a motion?
No, right now, we're looking for
Citizens
citizens.
input.
Any citizens input non-related or related to non-agenda items?
So,
No?
I make a motion to adjourn.
Kevin makes a motion, we adjourn. Leon seconded.
All those in favor?
Robert Myers.
Brandon, give Brandon my phone number.
Kevin Featherston,
Leon Meyer,
Robert Myers.
Chris Burkett.
And what time is it?
It is
8:08.
8:08.
Thank you.
Brandon, give Grant my phone number.
I will.